And there we go. We are live. Hello, everybody. We will wait a second or two. We'll allow people to pop on. So this week we are talking about budget. This is one that gets brought up more times than not about how eating healthy is so expensive. Me and you, we don't believe that. And so hopefully through this conversation today, we can help alleviate some of those fears that eating healthy has to be this expensive cost, so costly. And then also just giving you some quick tips. As always, with any of these live feeds, we really want to encourage feedback,
Mhm.
whatever questions that you have. And we're going to keep this one around 20 minutes just to be respectful of your time and ours, as well to make sure that this is something that you actually want to watch all the way through. So, to get started, I guess let's just go. Let's just get into it. And I am Emily. I am the owner of WorkSpeed, and I just love teaching people, not just with information, but I love to empower people to live a wise life, and that is to live well, intelligent, safe, and empowered. And this is Coach Annalise.
Hello. I've been on here a few times, so hi everybody.
Awesome. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Budget-friendly tips. Coach Annalise, we always joke that we are so frugal. Like we're
Very frugal.
frugal people.
Yes.
Could be a fault by some. I don't know. So with that, and we both have this passion, and we both believe that eating healthy should not cost a lot of money. What are some tips that we can start off this session with?
Well, I got plenty. So, first thing I would say is always check your grocery store sales. Like always check and see, what produce is on sale. Whatever's in season typically tends to be a little bit lower. I know that back when I lived in West Virginia, I haven't found it down here in Alabama, but they always had a discounted produce section where maybe that apple had been sitting there for a minute or whatever, and you can actually get some really, really cheap produce if you're just trying to move it off the shelves. Of course, check it and make sure that it's still okay to eat, but look for deals like that. Just look around. Another thing I would say is honestly meal prepping. Meal prep stuff that buying in bulk, cooking in bulk, and making sure that you're making foods that you're actually going to eat, so that you're not doing all this work, spending your money, and then you end up tossing it away. What I mean? Like, make sure you prep and you actually eat the foods that you're picking out. And then another thing that I really like to do too is I go through my pantry, I go through my freezer. I'm like, all right, what do I have in here that I can kind of try to use up? I got a little of this, a little bit of that. And I use what I already have as a starting point for what I'm going to make. So between what I already have, what's on sale at the grocery store, bippity boppity boo, all of a sudden I've got meals for the entire week. And that's what I typically try to do. And I know a lot of people say too that produce can be kind of pricey, and it can, depending on, what you're buying. But you can always get frozen, frozen options. Like I know that they've got, I'm not telling everyone to go to Walmart or anything, but it's my choice here. So you can just go to the grocery store and you can buy the dollar bags of, just frozen cauliflower or broccoli or whatever. And you can just steam it right in the microwave. And, that's going to be an easy veggie side dish. Or you could take those vegetables and turn it into a soup. There's a ton of different options when it comes to that stuff.
And I'll say for me, what I found is that a lot of my recipes have a lot of basics, like the same basics. So we always use a lot of bell peppers, a lot of onions, and then like I was telling you, cabbage is one that's a go-to. And already having those prepped and already having those cooked, not only is it saving time, but also I don't have to throw things away.
Right.
I have a tendency, because I have the chickens, that I always like, if I have anything left over, let's just give it to the chickens, because
Yes, because that's not going to waste.
yeah. But there's also times that I know that I can freeze it. One thing I did the other day for the first time is I wanted chili, but the chili, because it's cold and the weather cannot make up its mind lately, or here in the South. So, but I wanted chili, but I wanted it to have veggies, and it was just basically the beans and the meat. And so I had found some sauteed cabbage and onions and Brussels sprouts, and I threw it in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually was really good. And so finding ways that even if you have half of a chili recipe, how can you add it in or something like that, so that you can actually add more nutrients to your meal, but then also making your meals go longer. So.
And I've done that too. Like if I had, like some carrots left over for a long time, or sweet potatoes, or corn, or whatever, like if you throw it in a pot of chili, it disappears and you don't even know what's in there.
Yeah.
So, and then, speaking of chili too, because I could go on forever about this, but, or all of this really, but, like with chili, like beans, like if you want to eat beans, like a good plant-based protein that isn't as expensive as your animal sources, you can always get the bags of dried beans, cook them yourself, whether it be in a pressure cooker or a slow cooker. And then what I always do is I cook them in bulk. So I'll cook a big portion of it, and then I store it in the freezer. Like I clean it off, and I'll put them in little individual like Ziploc baggies or freezer containers. And that way, the next time I'm going to make chili, I'm like, oh, well, let me check and see if I've got my kidney beans and my black beans and my pinto beans already in the freezer, like ready to go. So it's kind of like, it's a staple that I always keep in the house. Very cost efficient. I mean, like how much is a pound of frozen beans? Like $1?
Not much at all.
$1.50, I don't know. But they're cheap, and you can really stretch those meals, and you can include a lot of different like non-starchy vegetables to really increase that nutritional value. And making a lot of stuff from scratch also, although it may not be a time saver, if you have the time and you want to make stuff from scratch, you can really save money. So a prime example of that is like oatmeal. I mean, example, instead of buying the little individual packages, you buy one giant tub of oatmeal and you make
which is like $3.
Yeah, and it's so cheap, and you can season it however you want. You can do whatever you want with it. We were actually going to make a baked peanut butter banana oatmeal with walnuts on top this morning, and then we ended up not doing it, but I'll probably make it here soon. And that's another good one that you can meal prep. Did I mention that one in the meal prep?
I don't think so, but that one sounds good. Definitely have to get that recipe. Oats is probably one of the go-to for me too, because you can use it so many ways. One, it's another filler. For me, I like to corn, peas, potatoes. I'm try not to use those that much because they're fillers. So I believe there's other fillers that can be better. For like chilies that we're saying, cabbage is a great one because it doesn't have much taste and it takes on what it is. But oats is one for like more of the breakfast. And I made some energy bites or energy balls the other day, and it's quick. It's so quick. All it is the oats. I use almond butter, and I have to use peanut butter because it makes peanut butter is typically creamier. Okay. And then dark chocolate, and then some coconut oil, and just make a little bit of a mess with it. But other than that, it's so good. So those are some things that they're quick and they're easy. And then your smoothies, you can always throw oats into your smoothies. And granola. Granola is
it's
so expensive, but the easiest.
Make it yourself. Oh my gosh, it's so easy. If you can turn on an oven, you can make granola. That's all it takes, really.
That's it.
Throw some stuff, we'll mix it around, toss it in the oven. Do not leave it in too long, but
I was gonna say, don't use the broil because I did that one time. Again, if y'all knew how horrible of a cook I used to be, and how many things I burnt, I had not mastered. And this was like 4 years ago, and just the broil, it catches on things on fire.
I've caught a couple things on fire back in the day, so I can't say I haven't done that. It's been a couple of times. So it happens. It happens.
So while we're on here, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them. We're here to answer any with it y'all have. And I guess to round out a lot of this is, what are, like, I know that we talked about the grocery store and you had the tip of looking for the sales. I'll tell you what I did and what we did earlier. I know that me and you discussed it and we put it on our little, my daughter Brenlyn did a little live feed earlier because she wanted to talk about something that she has done. And we make croutons, and we'll make little, I don't know what you actually call them, but it's a thing for like bruschetta. Basically the bread. But that is something, and what we do is, there's always at Kroger is where I go to. There is this little section that has all the bread that is all marked down. You look for the yellow labels, and the yellow labels means that it needs to go. And so for me, using that, and then just going in too, and just always trying to find the yellow labels if I can, especially in the produce section. Because it's just like that's like a win-win in my opinion. And finding ways. So what is something that, like a big takeaway we talked about in the grocery? What is a big takeaway that you could tell people about eating healthy, but also, and it not having to be, it can still be flavorful? What advice would you have about that you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to be able to eat healthy?
Season it. Go to the spice section. Honestly, make your own spice blends. It's so easy. There are recipes all over the internet. Like I made the Cajun seasoning. I can't say it's as good as Slap Your Mama, but it's still pretty darn good. And and I'll still, always buy Slap Your Mama. But it was fun to like make my own seasoning, because you can make cauliflower 50 different ways just based off of what you season it with. Same thing with any other vegetable. And once you play with things and you figure out what you like, what your family likes, how are you gonna season those vegetables to make them taste good, make them fun, play around.
One thing that really I see a lot that costs a lot of people money too, and it drives me and it frustrates me a little bit. It is whenever people make additional meals for their kids or their family, a family member, because they don't like a certain food.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So they make like a whole separate meal for that
whole separate meal. And I know a lot of people that do that. And my thing is one, if they don't like it, at least we do the 3-bite rule that at least they have to try it. They got to have 3 bites. They got to try it. But how much time, especially as a mother, I know on my end, how much extra time that's going to take. But then also, you're not just making it for yourself. You're also making it for others. And then you got to go back and you got to actually buy 2 different meals. It's not McDonald's. It's not a drive-through. You don't get or Burger King. You don't get to have it your way. So how can people make food and it not be expensive and not have to make additional meals for all the rest of the family members?
Oh, I mean, like, that's your hub. That's your team, talk about it. Make it part of your, like, weekly communication is a good thing. So, like, talk about it, talk about, like, and make it fun, too, because, you can make it a really boring conversation, or you could make it something really fun, especially if you've got some young kiddos. Making it sound really fun. If you're excited, they're going to be excited. So if you're like, oh man, I'm really excited to try asparagus this week, your kid might be like, oh, me too. I want to try asparagus. And you guys could even like play around with it together, getting the kids. Well, it's like what you do with your daughter, getting your kids in the kitchen, get their hands dirty in there, and I was telling you about gardening, if a kid if they go out and they have their own garden and they grow their own bell pepper, they're going to be so darn proud of themselves, and they'll want to just pick it right off and eat it because they are so proud of themselves.
Yes, I have to give a huge shout out to one of our school teachers. Her name's Miss Stafford,
Mhm.
and it is Brenlin's actually kindergarten teacher. And so they have the Arrow Gardens, and so they also have a guinea pig. And so they grow food for the guinea pig, but they grew romaine lettuce. And then they grew it. They let them all try it, and I feel like that build up this communication. It's like, oh yeah, it's good because one kid liked it, another kid liked it.
Mhm.
It's kind of the peer pressure thing too. But that was so awesome. And I,
Yeah,
being a health nerd, I was like, yes, this makes me
that's
so
awesome.
happy. And I'll tell you that next day, which I wouldn't do it, but my kid went to and this is breakfast, went and had a salad for breakfast because Poppy had
Mhm.
romaine lettuce, and they had romaine lettuce, and she loves romaine lettuce now.
All
And
right.
now they're growing bell peppers, and
Oh,
so I'm interested to see what the next. Um,
oh,
and so, like you said, it's really like building this up for the kids.
yeah. And we did, I mean, we did gardening projects with kids in college or I mean, like when I was in college, we did it with like the younger elementary school kids and they loved it. They were getting dirty. They were, it's a fun thing to do. So, although, I can't say much about like my mom, I don't think she ever would have made me a special plate. She would have been like, you're eating this or you're not. And then, like, that's it. So
We
I
say,
never really had an option. That didn't
yeah.
happen. So
It's that my kids, they say it all the time. You get what you get, and you don't pitch a fit.
yes.
I have to be careful because they do say that to other people. I'm like, whoa, you can't.
You're like, hold on, wait a minute.
Wait, that's just our thing, okay, y'all. Um, so we're going to be on for about 3 more minutes. Does anybody have any questions? So if you do, just leave them in the comments, and they will pop through for us, which is pretty awesome. And put them up. Because I will tell you, this is like the number one thing that is asked of me whenever I go and talk to organizations. It's probably the first go-to is how to do some budgeting with people and to eat healthy. Because I guess to go past the misnomer that eating healthy is expensive on it. So,
And I think sometimes people might get a little bit confused by it because, like, when you're looking at, like protein shakes, supplements, certain like diet plans, like whatever, yeah, like that stuff is expensive. And me with my background, I very rarely ever drink a protein shake. I'd rather get my protein sources through other means, which honestly overall tends to be much more satisfying and more cost effective. Yeah, it's easy to just like scoop a little bit of protein into a bottle, shake it up and drink it. But,
my thing is what we learned in our masters is one of my professors, he talked about that. He goes, literally, the cost of it's the same equivalent to gold. So you literally are drinking gold. Like you're spending that much money. And it doesn't, and because one thing we talked about is creatine, and creatine doesn't do anything for you really. Hi, Ashley. Ashley said hi.
Oh, hi.
But creatine really doesn't do much for you. It gives you what is called 1 ATP, so it only gives you one bit of energy. So if you're going and you're running real quick, like sprints, like football players, it gives you a little bit. But comparative to the money that you're spending, and not everybody needs it.
Worth it.
Is it because you're literally, and that was something else. It's just like talking to somebody else that all their meals are sent to them. Yes, that is great. I do, but it's $500 a month. It's $300 to $500 a month just for one person.
Holy cow! No wonder people think it's expensive.
Yeah, can you keep that up for life?
No.
And I guess that's our biggest thing that we all talk about is, can you keep it up for life? If you can't keep it up for life, it's kind of useless.
It's a waste of time. If you can't maintain it for the rest of your life, like if that habit is something you can't maintain for the rest of your life, it's totally pointless. You're going to go right back to the old ways, and
And the yo-yoing of it too, and how much it can hurt your body, your physiology is. I
Yeah.
always say if you look at, if anybody's had multiple kids, your first kid is like, you really didn't show, but your next kid is like, ba-bam,
Mhm.
like that. It's very quick. It's because your body's really good at knowing that you deprived it of food. It's going to
Mhm.
freak out, and it's going to want, next time it's going to want to store it more and more and more. And so your
Mhm.
body's really good at storing.
It's awful
Unfortunately.
good. I know, unfortunately. Good, but it's
So we're right at the 20 minutes. Does anybody have, and I feel like this is pretty straightforward.
mhm.
Just to know that, I guess we'll end with our key takeaways if there's no additional questions. Big takeaway I'll say is that first one, when you go to the grocery store, make sure you kind of abide by a list. It helps.
Yeah.
If you get what's on the list, you're less likely to spend more money, in my opinion. Well, in my experience.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah.
And then another thing I'll say is that eating healthy is not more expensive. If you cook it at home, it just takes more time.
Mhm.
If you go out and you want to get the healthier options at restaurants, they typically are more expensive for a reason.
Mhm.
So Emily, takeaways.
It's hard. I have so many.
This is your baby. Like this
I
is
know.
what you love.
This is what got me through college. So yeah.
Oh, well, I will say amen to this one, Ashley. I got in
Yes.
trouble with my husband the other day. I went
Mhm.
into the store, and we've only went to the grocery store twice in our marriage, and we're going on 7 years. So we just don't do this. That's probably the reason. I came in hungry,
Yep.
and I was like, oh, and I walked in the door hungry,
Yep.
and he's like, oh no. He goes, it's not on the list. It's not on the list. I'm like, what?
I've done some wild things in a grocery store when I was hungry. Like I came home with stuff and I'm like, who bought this? Who did this? Like, Mike, did you sneak this in here? Like, no, it was me. It was my stomach. Like, this sounds really good. You should buy whatever. And it turned into a hot mess. So
Yes,
that's a very good tip.
that's such a good tip. So,
I
what
think
else would you say?
my top one is probably keep a lot of basics stocked up, like the oatmeal and the beans and things like that are pretty cost effective, and they stretch a lot and they're filling lots of fiber. They're whole foods, and that's probably one of my top ones. Another one, don't be afraid to buy some of the frozen produce. You can find some really good freezer bags of just steamable plain veggies, and you can season them up however you like. Those are probably my top two. And of course, trying to buy based off of whatever that store's sale is. Oftentimes it's based off of what's in season because there's a lot more of it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
it's probably my top one.
and that's one thing I based off what's in season, or if they're like strawberries during Valentine's, like they go up tenfold on cost.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I buy these every week. So just being careful,
Yeah.
being careful on that. And then also, I guess I really liked what you said is the freezer. And then if you have any extra, so if you only need half an onion, chop it up, freeze it. There's some like, I didn't know that you could actually freeze like your kale. I've never seen anybody really freeze lettuce, but spinach, kale, some of the harder ones, you can freeze those and use them for smoothies later, or you can actually.
Anytime my like greens would start to go a little bit bad, I'm like, well, looks like it's going in the freezer. It'll go in a smoothie one day. And, and then it sits there for who knows how long, but it sits there eventually. Gets in the freezer eventually.
So I appreciate you. I appreciate for your time. Anybody, if anybody's got any additional comments, feel free to leave them as well, and we'll address them later too if we can't now. And just thank you. Thank y'all for tuning in. We will be in next. Yes, avocados. Ashley freezes her spinach and avocados. I've actually never done avocados.
For smoothies or for smoothies, right?
I'm assuming.
Okay, I was going to say.
Ashley, Is it for smoothies?
smoothies?
Dun dun dun. We will wait and we will see.
I'm assuming we can't just go make guac after the fact.
That would be cool. Like that would be like,
You could like stock up on all the avocados at the grocery store. I'm
yes.
sure it has to be for smoothies. Then.
Somebody, if anybody ever wants to make millions, y'all learn how to freeze avocados and make them still like
Guacamole ready.
yeah. Then there you go. So, well, oh, here she goes. Smoothies and avocado toast. Yeah.
Right. It actually is still good on avocado toast.
Yeah. And I will say I have done it with I love avocado pudding, like chocolate pudding.
I could do it in that, yeah.
So I could see that too. Oh, good job, Ashley.
Yeah, I might like test that out because I do have like some bags of like chopped up avocado in the freezer. I might like thaw a few out and see.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Ashley. I'm gonna try that.
And as soon as you... What? Ashley, you're awesome. So yeah.
Let's go to Ashley.
That is awesome. So yeah, is what she says, and as soon as you go in, she put it's amazing. That's awesome. So yeah, and that's something, and that's the reason why I love doing these is learning, not just from like you, Annalise, but everybody.
Yeah,
because that is something too. Yes, freezing grapes. I never learned. That's the other thing Ashley said. Almost like freezing grapes. It does. This right here is a delicacy with the kids. I never heard of it until about 3 years ago, and we started doing that. And it's like you can't keep kids out of, especially during the summer months, and it's hot. You can't keep them out, and then you probably can't either. I don't. Have you ever done that? Froze grapes?
Okay, so I tried it. The texture threw me off. It wasn't my thing. But I know like so many other people that are like bonkers crazy for it. So I'm the oddball. It just isn't my yeah. But everybody else do it. I just not for me.
I love it.
Did, but
Emily said hello. Hey Emily. So I guess we are at the end. I know we went over. I know we were trying to keep this 20 minutes, but we got awesome people with awesome ideas, and I'm so excited.
Big deal.
I'm really excited about the avocados.
Yeah.
So next week we will be talking about our favorites. So what are some of our favorite? Like a lot of people are like fast food. Like, do you even eat fast food? Yes, we do. We do have some. We do eat some fast food. What is our favorites? If we're stuck out, we're on a long road trip. What are some things that we do? What are our favorite go-tos with our meal preps? What's our favorite go-tos with just food in general? And so,
stuff. That's what like when we're traveling, that's what we'll be talking about. Ooh, I got good ones.
And so how some of our favorite things.
Cool.
Because I think some people are like, you only eat from the garden. And if anybody comes to my house, they're like, no, like there are packaged things, but here's the kicker. I can read everything on the label and I know what everything is. So, and they're in the freezer. They're not in the pantry.
Like sitting there for 5 years.
Yeah. So, well, y'all have a blessed one.
Yes.
And feel free to reach out to us as always. Oh, I've got to mention this. So our birthday is on the 12th. And so we are actually going to do a drawing for a few free memberships. So if you would love to talk to Coach Annalise, let us know. Because we will be giving away free memberships. And the reason why is this is because we think it is so impactful, and we know it is. Like we know how it is, and we've seen the impact that it has allowed to be for other people. So we just want to give that back as a gratitude for one, that we are another year of business, or our first full year of business, and we're blessed and we're great for that. And y'all make that happen. And then two, we want more people to be able to live wise together. Y'all have an awesome and blessed day.
Yay. Thanks, everyone. Bye.